Right, start recording it. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome along to another interview. I'm pleased to be joined by Phillip Dennis. Phillip, how are you today?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, all good.
So I think a good place to start would be talking about how you got into racing. Was you brought up around horses as a kid, or was it something you learned as you grew up, basically?
Yeah, no, I'm fairly lucky, to be fair. I was always around horses. Both my parents, they were brought up around horses and always had ponies and a bit of hunting, bit of eventing, bit of all sorts, really, games. And then when I was about 12 or 13 and maybe started pony racing, had a couple of just cheap ponies, really. I mean, they were some of them were a bit wild, but they did the job, and had a couple of rides in pony races, a couple of winners, and it was a good starting point anyway.
What's the plan for you since you was a kid to always become a jockey? Was that always the plan?
To be fair, well, I wouldn't say it was a plan. It was always something I wanted to do, though. Growing up, I used to go racing with my dad a lot. Jumping really was what I actually loved when I was younger, going to the Grand National and things, and that was always what I wanted to do. But then weight kind of swung me the other way. I don't think I'll be brave enough for that now.
So in terms of racing at the moment, we've been back racing for just over a week. In terms of actually, you've ridden as well throughout the resumption of racing. How have you found the current safety procedures and the social distancing measures put in place? How have you found everything that's been going on recently?
It's different. It is very different, and obviously it's not ideal, but I think they've done a good job, really, for as good as you can have it. The tracks I've ridden at, like sort of Newcastle, like that opening day, that worked really well, and kind of everywhere else it's all got very similar layouts, all slightly different depending on how the track's laid out and things. But no, I think it's all going fairly smoothly, as well as it can be, really, and hopefully it'll just keep improving, and it'll get easier as we go.
I suppose the obvious thing is there's no crowd at racing at the moment. So when you're riding, especially if you're in the zone, is there much difference? Do you notice much difference when you're riding with a crowd compared to without a crowd?
Probably not really. No, I mean, I think once you're in the race, there you don't notice the crowd too much. It's obviously weird when you're in the paddock and all that, and it's just empty stands and no one around the paddock and things. But in the race itself, I don't think you notice it too much, to be honest.
In terms of your riding career, you've been riding a lot for David Griffiths. What's he been like for you? He's given you some massive opportunities that I'll touch upon a little bit later on, but he's given you some fantastic opportunities, and he must be a good trainer to work for as well. Yeah,
so there's a good few trainers there that I go in and ride out for, and that back me and been great supporters. But he'd be one of the main ones, and I was down there this morning actually in his, and no, he's been great. I started riding out for maybe a year and a half ago, and going there on a Saturday, and obviously then Ornate, and he's got Duke of Firenze. He's got some grand old horses in there, and he's not afraid to run them, and he's not afraid to give you a chance as well. So no, it's been a good link up.
You mentioned about Ornate. He's been a horse that's really been a big star for you. Won the Epsom Dash last year in 2019 on Derby Day. That must have been huge for you to win such a big race on such a huge day in front of a big audience, not just the track but also TV as well. It must have been fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was. That was a great day, to be fair. That was obviously the best day I've had so far, anyway. And to be fair, as well as winning that, like he won 5 last year, so to have a horse that can go and do that for you is it's massive, really. So hopefully this year he can win something as big as that, and I'll keep on the upward curve that he's on, which is probably weird for a six-year-old. So no, it's great.
I mean, he ran the Palace House last weekend. What did you make of that run? Of a seasonal comeback, I do believe. What did you make of his run there?
Yeah, seasonal comeback. He'd probably come on for that. I mean, he's like last year going into the turf, he'd had all winter on the all-weather, so he was kind of sharp going into it, whereas this time he's had the time off. He's probably entitled to need that. He's a type of horse that just blazes off, as you'd well know, and you've got to be fully fit to be able to do that. And just coming out of the dip there, he took a blow. But to be fair, not many horses I know that can lay up with him. So the winner there of James Tate's, that is a seriously quick horse to take him off the bridle.
In terms of last season, so you also rode him in the Nunthorpe. To get a big opportunity in such a big stage like a Group 1 at York, that must have been another magnificent opportunity for you to really almost on such a big stage as well. It must have been fantastic to ride Ornate as well, horse you've done so well with on the big stage. It must have been brilliant.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed having a spin in the Nunthorpe there. And to be fair, he didn't run too badly because he went in there as outsider, and I think he finished 5th and he wasn't actually beaten overly far. I mean, it was definitely one of his better runs of the season. So no, that was a good week, the Ebar Festival there.
In terms of Duke of Florence, well, you've also won on him. What's he like as a horse? He's been a wonderful servant down the years for many different trainers, Sir Michael Stout and also David Griffiths. He's been a real star. But what's he been like to ride as well in the race? I think you won on him at York last season, I do believe. He must be a wonderful star for the yard.
Yeah, he won at York the week before the dash, actually, and that made him favourite for the dash, I think. So yeah, he was at Cheveley Park, bred horse, and he did well for Sir Michael Stout, and then like Dave got him there, and it took a bit of time, but he sweetened him up then, and he's won some very good races with him, and been placed in some top races as well. He's a very different horse to Ornate. Like he want to come as late as possible. Really, he doesn't do a whole lot in front, but he's certainly got his bigger engine anyway.
In terms of riding the Epsom dash, it's always been known to be such a cavalry charge, really, where you break out the gates and with a blink of an eye it's finished. Ornate's a speedster. What was it like to ride him up on the front end, knowing that the Epsom dash, you do get some hard luck stories in behind, so he's in a good place to strike if he was going to win, and he did.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, if you want to be anywhere, it's out the way, the trouble up there. But I thought when we got the drawn one, like, I thought that was kind of game over, really. But he's always lightning out the gates. And once we got going and kind of past the 3 pole, running towards the 2, I kind of thought then he was going well enough, and he certainly wasn't emptying out anyway. It just suited his style.
So in terms of so far this season, how would you say? I mean, it's only been a couple of weeks, so it's hard to really judge. But how do you think your season's gone so far in the early stages, of course?
The first 3 months of the year there, got off to a good start. Had 9 winners before we stopped, so that was a solid enough start on the all-weather. Since the 2 weeks back, we've had a few rides. It's been a bit slow to get going though. A lot of them are needing the first runs back and one thing and another. So hopefully now that they're all getting out and having a run, we'll soon start to get going and the ball will get rolling then.
During lockdown, did you spend much time? Obviously, you must have spent plenty of time maintaining your fitness, maybe riding out for certain trainers too, just keep them ticking over in the hope that racing came back. It came back probably later than probably many people would have thought. So was you just basically keeping fit and ticking over throughout the lockdown period?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, different to what normally be doing, but lucky enough to keep riding out every day, really, bar the odd couple. I mean, some yards that I were going to, they stopped for a bit, give them a break, not knowing when they were going to be back. But there's a few yards, I'm based in Malton, so there's a few yards like Tim Easterby that was good enough to let a few of us go in and be in there most days, and it just kept us ticking over. And then on an afternoon, you've got nothing much else to do. I mean, it was a good opportunity to keep busy with running and one thing and another. So we've kept busy.
And just finally, to wrap things up, what are your hopes for the rest of this season? Is it a case of trying to ride as many winners as you can, or is it a case of potentially trying to get as many outside rides of trainers or rides on the bigger stages?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the goals will be a bit different this year now with half of it gone, but certainly just try and ride as many winners as we can. And if the few nicer horses that I'm lucky enough to have, such as Ornate, hopefully he can produce some good runs again this year and match last year. And I think for the rest of this year, it's more take what we can get now and then go into next year starting afresh.
Just quickly, just finally, I want to talk about Ornate. Could he end up at the Nunthorpe this season, or is it potentially a different route, maybe Epsom Dash again, potentially?
Yeah, so, well, it's this year the Dash has been lost because I think the start is outside the perimeter, so that's a shame that's going to have to be missed, because that would have been his main target. But I'm sure Dave's got a bit of a route mapped out for him. I mean, he loves having a runner in the King George. He did well with Take Cover, and Ornate ran well there last year, finished third. So whether he aims at that again, he's obviously got Potash to beat, but I'd imagine that'll be the route he goes.
Brilliant. Right, I'll stop the recording there. I don't want to lose the footage.